Deion, Prime, welcome home. My brother.
The city of Fort Myers has a special hero. Deion has been the only man to have played in the Super Bowl and the World Series. The only guy in the world. How special can that be? That's not it. That's not it. Also, he scored a touchdown and hit a home run in the same week. How special can that be? I would like to thank the mayor here as my partner in helping me get Deion back here. And I'm going to turn it over to the mayor, and he has a few remarks.
Carolyn, thank you for letting me be your partner on this. And you didn't say anything about touchdowns I scored. And I did hit some home runs too. But you didn't say anything about it. Because I didn't tell you about it. And that was in North Carolina. You wouldn't have known about it anyway. And then when I was a little boy too. Yeah. Hello everybody, and thank you for attending tonight. I know that you're going to enjoy this evening. I'm already enjoying it, joking around with Deion back there. I'm happy to report to you, he's looking good, he's looking lean. And Ernie and Tad, I challenged him to a basketball game, and I want you guys to take him to the hoop. I want to see if you can jam it on him. He's ready to take you on. Carolyn and I have indeed had a lot of fun putting this together in anticipation of this night. It's been a lot of work, and the weekend events that are planned for this weekend that will touch some 500 youth in this community that have come to enjoy the mentoring and the teaching and the learning and the discipline that will go on in the weekend events. It's been a lot of fun, and it'll go on thanks to Deion. It's also, let me hasten to say, been a lot of fun getting to know Pastor Omar and Anton and, of course, Vanessa. Vanessa's been aiding the city of Fort Myers and our capable staff together to bring this event back to Fort Myers. It's something that not only Carolyn and I have been working on for many years, but something that we've eagerly anticipated. Welcome to Fort Myers. Everyone here tonight has, and I want to make this a special point, has a unique and personal connection to Deion. And when word got out for the coming events that he was coming home to visit, it created a great excitement and anticipation. Of course, Carolyn and I have been feeling that for a number of weeks. Carolyn, let me say again to you personally how much I appreciate your idea in executing on getting this put together for tonight and over the weekend, and it's been many weeks in the making, and I know it's been a busy time, but you have made it happen, and Deion worked with you to make it happen. Way to go, Carolyn. Let's give her a big round of applause. Good job. Next, ladies and gentlemen, I want to pause here and take a moment to recognize some of the finest professionals that I've ever had the pleasure of serving with. Councilman Fred Burson's here. He's down front. Councilman Kevin Anderson, Councilwoman Teresa Watkins Brown, and of course Gail Anthony, and one of the hardest working city managers who is yeah, well, let me finish. Because we call Johnny the fullback. We call Johnny the fullback, so he cleans up. And Johnny's here, and of course, we're grateful for that. And I want to thank Saeed and Farzaneh for being here, who leads the city and supervises Johnny and me and all the rest. Right, Johnny? He keeps us in check. And of course, lastly but not least, of course, is my wife, Jenny. And she's here. Let's give all of them a round of applause. Jenny's reminded me, as time has been drawing closer to the day of coming here to see Deion, of the time when my kids were little and we'd be watching college football on the weekends, and I would be in front of the TV saying to my kids, "That's Deion there." And Deion's going to point to the end zone, and what he's saying is he's going to see everybody in the end zone, and then he would go do it. And it would make us all laugh, and really made me proud and made our kids proud. And he made Florida State proud too, didn't he, Walter Grace? I know he's happy about that, because it was a time in the life of Florida State that they were having a lot of fun. Deion, Prime, welcome home. My brother. Yeah, Deion Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, everybody. Deion, you are indeed, and I say this with all sincerity, our hometown hero. We're all looking forward to hearing from you and your team tonight, and before we get underway, and on behalf of my colleagues on council, myself, I want to present you with a key to our city. I want you to accept this gift from all of us as we look to the future and to opportunities to make our city the best that it can be, encouraging youth, training them up for successful lives and opportunity. Deion Sanders, here is our key to the city of Fort Myers. Ladies and gentlemen, this plaque says, and I'll just say it loudly, presented to Deion Sanders, hometown hero, NFL Hall of Famer and Major League Baseball player. Thank you for the support of Fort Myers and our youth. Randall Henderson, Mayor for Fort Myers, Florida. Thank you, Deion. God bless you. Okay, and with that, I think we're ready to get underway. Carolyn and I are going to take a seat, and we're going to move our program forward. Thank you all, each and every one, for being here to honor our hometown hero, Deion Sanders.
Good evening.
Test.
All right, I think I'm on. Good evening. Are you having a good time? Why don't you give your great mayor and this wonderful councilwoman Carolyn a great hand? Would y'all please give them a great hand? And if you love and you really appreciate one of the heroes of my personal life, my best friend, he is a member of our church in Dallas, but he is a hero to millions, but he is a product of you. Would you please give it up for Deion Sanders one more time, prime time. I am Bishop Omar Jahwar, and a pastor of Kingdom Worship and Restoration Church in Dallas, and I'm the founder and CEO of Urban Specialists. And just to give you a synopsis about what is going to happen in this conversation, and introduce to you Antong and our team, I want to just give you just a kind of brief of how I met Deion. For the last 25 years, we've been working in the area of youth and violence reduction, mainly through gang intervention. I was the first gang interventionist hired by the state of Texas, and my role was to negotiate peace agreements inside of prisons and then furlough those young men back to their homes and negotiate with their gang leaders or neighborhood leaders and ask them to give them free passage back to their homes. And we've done this for many, many years, operating under the idea that social civility is available to young people even when they don't understand it. That civil order must take place and rise above that idea of survival and instinctive behavior, which leads to violence. And that violence becomes the language of those who are underserved. And then the natural course of that violence leads you to form cohabitation environments, which we call gangs or hoods or whatever you want to call it. So we've been doing that for many years. And when we were at the height of dealing with the gang issues in Dallas and abroad, we've been to every state in the Union, other than the Dakotas, dealing with the violence issue. We've been to Mexico, Russia, been everywhere around the world dealing with this idea of how do you intervene in violent instances. And we have a great track record in Dallas that we've worked in schools and juvenile departments and with chief of police and everything that you can name. Just look us up, Urban Specialists, and you'll understand what we do. And I'm going to tell you about our newest iteration of this. But to sum this up, one of my great friends, Nate Newton, he is a football giant, just a great man. But he got into some issues in the law. He ended up going to prison. Nate got out of prison, and he started to work for our company. And when Nate began to work for our company, we were trying to get awareness because we were saying that people are looking for solutions, but they're looking in the wrong place. They don't know that solutions come from those who have experienced the problem. They are the most needed and the least utilized. You look over those who you may believe they're villains, but they're heroes in the young people's lives. So if you can change their character, their characteristics have a market advantage. So we were trying to present this message to the world, but we didn't have a great enough megaphone for our microphone. So I said, the culture is turning into, urban culture is a celebritized culture. And we said, we need to find someone who can speak to this issue. And so I said, Nate, who do you have, man? And I said, well, Nate, what about Michael Irvin? He said, no, brother, you don't need Michael Irvin. Don't do that, man. So I don't know why he said that, but he said, don't do that if you're trying to change the world. I said, all right, Nate. I said, well, who we got, Nate? Because I got to get somebody, man. I got to get somebody that can really. He said, you need Prime, man. You need Prime. You need Deion. I said, man, Deion ain't going to come to no gang. I said, come on, man. He said, yes, he will. I said, how are you so confident that Deion would come to something like this, man? He said, because, bruh, when I was in prison, for his birthday, he came to visit me with a big bus. While I was in prison, he took care of my son quietly and made sure we were straight. He never let me forget who I was. He said, big fella, this is just a step in where God is taking you. He said, I used to laugh at him and his spiritual stuff, but he started building me up and made me understand my spiritual worth. So if he tells you he's coming, trust me, Pastor, he'll be there. So we asked him to come, and that day we had about 400 or 500 individuals, business leaders and gang leaders and church leaders, and we had this convocation of ideas with individuals who probably wouldn't connect. And Deion spoke that night, and it was so powerful, he even shed a tear about these young people, because these were guys who had great heart. They just had empty hands. They had great ideas, they just didn't have access to pathways so that their ideas could come into full fruition. And after that speech, Deion said to me, Pastor, bring all of these guys to my house, and I'm gonna have my mama from Fort Myers to cook for them. And I said, well, Prime, listen, I don't know all these brothers, so if they steal something out your house, I can't afford it. Yeah, so let's get this straight off the muscle. Anything come up missing, it's on you, sir. Because true story. I said, we're not going to play like this, man. He said, no, man. And his mother, Mama Connie, who is my mama, I love Mama Connie, who is funny too, by the way. She cooked for these brothers, and Deion forged a relationship, and for over 20 years or so, we have not missed probably a day talking to each other. Our lives have become instantly connected, and through the ups and downs, through the highs and lows, through the divorces and the divorces and the divorce. No, I'm just playing. Through the highs and lows. I'm just kidding.
Deion, where you find him?
I'm just kidding, man. This is my brother, man, you know. Through everything, we stayed together because I love this brother. So when he said, Pastor, I want to come home, and this is an unsung hero. Before we say this, and I introduce you who Antong is, he said, I'm going to get my guy Billy from Under Armour, and we're going to do a camp for the kids that I used to be. I need you to understand how important Under Armour and Billy Tucker is to this idea. Would you please give him a hand? Come on, please give it up for him. Under Armour is here.
Get up, Tucker Billy. Tucker Billy.
He is an unusual partner. Deion has so many partners, you would be amazed. The scripture is true when it says a prophet is without honor in his own hometown, amongst his own kindred, because they forget. But please don't forget who you got in here. I heard a guy say this in Congress one time. He said, giants who stand in holes look small, while midgets who sit on hills look tall. You have a giant right here. He just believes in getting down where the people are, to show not his shadow, but to show I'm looking you eye to eye. And that's for anybody. That's just who he is. I'm telling you, you've done a great job for Maya, so you should be proud. This conversation is called course correction. And we do these all around the country in different areas to bring unusual collaborators together to deal with some of the pressing issues. We have a report that we will share with you. We'll share with the mayor and to Carolyn. And it's a 55-page community report on your city. We've been spying on you. So we know you. And believe me, after eating at the farmer's market twice, I know you. And it's been good. It's been good. But I'm almost sleepy right now. But we had a great time. So we have a 55-page community report. We do these reports, and we figure out what are the issues in inner city communities. I know it's obvious, but you have to validate it with the ideas. So we do these course corrections just like this, where we begin to have conversations and say, how do we move this forward? How do we go from possibility to actualization to traction? Our commitment is we don't come just to have the conversation. We use this as a seed to have a harvest. We have been privileged to be a part of a great group of a great network of individuals that can help, that can provide access to education remedies, criminal justice issues, obviously violence through us, urban specialists, urban poverty, just many different issues that may plague your city. We, through Deion, have been given a great network to some of the most influential people in the United States, and that's a true statement. And so when we have these conversations, we get our facts, we figure it out, we find out who the leadership is, and then we say, now let's let this seed turn into a harvest, and we will have some follow-up. I brought somebody with me today, Antong Lucky, who you may not know who he is, but believe me, he is a giant of a young man. This young man, he started the blood gangs in Dallas. When I met him, he was just coming out of prison, and I was doing this idea of what I just talked about, changing communities through having some real framework with the gangs. And everywhere I went in the city, they would say, you need to find Kiddo. You need to find Kiddo. And I'm saying, where's Kiddo? And he said, well, he in prison. I said, well, I can't go get him out. And he saw me on TV talking to his neighborhood, saying, we're going to change this community, and violence will end. And he wrote his cousins while he was in prison saying, whoever that is, I'm transforming in prison, make sure we meet. So when we met, we made a bond to say, how do we share ideas? How do we get this from thought to reality? And I said to him one thing, you are in a leadership position, but how many of your men do you trust that they understand the value that you bring? They may understand what you can give to them and protection, but can they actually lift you? And he said, you're right. So we gathered together all these OGs, these guys who run the gangs, and we began to deal with them. And he was the one and only guy from that leadership of all these gangs and hood leaders that stood up and said, say, man, I'm with you. I dedicate my life to it, and he put down some of the things that he held sacred. And he's been with me for over 20 years. Would you please give Antong Lucky a great hand? You will hear from him tonight. All right. So let's have this conversation. I want to start it here, and we'll
Yes,
take
test.
about 20 or 30 minutes to just kind of have this
Test.
conversation
Test.
about Fort Myers and some of the things that we're dealing with, and then we're going to yield, and we're going to release this stage because as nice as I look, you ain't got to tell me. I know you was thinking that, and as much as my shoes look nice and all of that, I know you was going to say that too. Okay, you wasn't going to say that? All right, well, I was going to say it. The goal here is to hear from Prime. So I wanted to give you that long introduction so you could understand what this is about, but we won't suffocate the time. I'm telling you, I know you know him, but this stage, these ideas, believe what I'm telling you. He has done this with some of the wealthiest, most influential people on the planet with us, and he never forgets you. He brings you everywhere he is, I'm telling you. So don't worry, we won't exacerbate all the time and suffocate the moment. We'll do what we have to do, and then we're going to yield, and then let him speak to you, and then you can ask him some questions that I'm sure you want to know. So is that all right? Is that all right? All right, let's get to it. So, Anton, let's start it off with you, knowing what you know. And on the community report, and quite frankly, I was talking to Carolyn, who's a great councilwoman here. There is this idea from what we saw that some who are in the neighborhood don't know how to access the better life. So the natural thought is they either go permanently underground or they become kind of almost invisible. You know what you know. What would you say to Fort Myers as just a first order of how to bring those who are needed from underground back up?
Thank you. First of all, I want to just thank you guys for having me and thanking the fact that I have Bishop Omar and Prime as my big brother, so I'm kind of blessed, to say the least. But to answer that question, when you're dealing with dudes in the neighborhood, I think the key thing is for us to do, especially people who are trying to help, is to go in and listen. A lot of times it's hard for people to hear and listen. We can come in a paternalistic way and have ideas that we think the neighborhood would want, but you have to first go in and listen. You got to hear what the neighborhood wants. You got to hear what the people want without judging. And I think if you start right there, you'll begin to find the people. You'll find in neighborhoods people who are already doing the work, people who have a desire to do the work, people who just looking for a way. And so we have to begin to create those relationships, bridge those relationships by saying, let's go in and listen. Let's listen to what the community wants.
Now you say listen. There's another idea that has come up in our urban spaces called OGU, and you are very important to that. Explain who we are listening to and how that works, because maybe some of them don't know what an OG is and how you really get value, because you can't listen to somebody and they, some crazy people in the hood.
Exactly.
Exactly. So just let you know, we do know, we ain't tripping, we understand. But how do you go from those people who are credible? Tell me about it.
Well, the fundamental idea is this: you want to find people who are doing the work, but you want to look at this like this. Can I just say this? You want to look at this like this. When we looking at our neighborhoods and our kids don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to make this choice to sell drugs or whatever they do. They don't wake up naturally and say that. What end up happening is it's about proximity. It's some people in the neighborhoods who have influence, and they have that influence because they have proximity to the kids that's in that neighborhood, and so they have this kind of like influence to dictate kids in the neighborhood action. We have to talk to them. We have to get to them, because we believe if we get to the people who has the influence and we give them the information, just like with me and Bishop, when I met him coming out of prison, although I knew what I wanted to do, I wasn't sure. But when he put his hand on me and we talk every day, and it was a lot of times that I called you with problems and issues that I was dealing with that I thought was the world, but he provided a word for me. He provided some direction for me. and he provided that hope for me to keep me going on the path that I was on. It's people in your communities right now in Fort Myers who are looking for somebody to reach out to them. And they looking to use their influence to help the young people, because the young people look up to those that's before them. You know, I started a gang in my neighborhood, and there was a lot of youngsters that looked up to me. They looked up to me because of my leadership, or whatever the case may be. But when I got to prison, those same youngsters were coming in, and I would ask them, they were happy to see me, and I would ask them, like, how much time you got? I got a life sentence. I got 2 life sentences. Not even understand they're gonna be there for the rest of their life for an idea that we started. And so it compelled me to say, I have to change this, I have to do this. And you have that in this neighborhood, you have this in every neighborhood. You have people who have made bad choices, but they really wanna do something right. They really wanna make it right. You just have to provide the opportunity for them to make it right.
I'm trying my best to restrain, but I gotta jump in on that. You're saying people in the neighborhood has influence. Right. He's 100%. Working out this morning at Dunbar, which was wonderful, by the way. It was a couple local heroes that I really looked up to that was there. The only difference between them and I is I stayed right when they took a left. Why? How did you stay right, Prime? I'm glad you asked. I was exposed. Some of these persons are in this room right now that I give thanks to and credence to, because you helped me with the exposure. We're staying downtown, which, Mayor, you have done a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
No, a wonderful job.
It's been a team. This team has done. Thank you.
Taylor, let me tell you something. I've taken several walks. I've jogged. I've went to watch a volleyball game. I've done everything downtown you could possibly do. Beautiful. But in taking Pastor and Anton and Billy and my kids to my old neighborhoods in John Walker's in 1625 Henderson and Billy Bowlegs and Shady Oaks and Terry Park, I also came out of the hotel and took a right and went down McGregor instead of taking a left. Okay, the reason I wanted them to see that is that exposed me. I played for the Rebels. Dave and Helen Capel, the Sanders was like the Ewings back in the day.
She's right there on front row.
Where you at, girl? Where you joking?
Erlene, where are you?
Elaine, oh my God. Baby, you have no idea how much influence. You guys was like the Ewings to me. I mean, you were rich. I mean, you had it. We had rats and roaches and y'all had stuff, you know. So I showed them the tennis court that was in the front yard that made me dream. I took them and showed them the pools and the stuff and how beautiful the palm trees were. So when I went back to the other side of town, Richard, are you in here? Say yes. Yeah. Richard Fain, one of my dear friends, Richard played for the Tice Tigers, and I was with the Rebels. It was night and day. I was exposed to so much that I had a precedented choice. So I didn't fall prey to the 15-inch woofers and speakers in the back and selling dope and selling drugs and smoking and getting high and drinking, because I had seen another way. That influence changed my darn life. And a lot of folks on the other side of town didn't have those same opportunities. So all they saw were the drug dealers, the this and the that, and it influenced them. And I had a whole different influence. So some of you sitting in this room right now, you have no idea how much you influenced me. And I appreciate you, and I love you for it. I love you dearly for it.
You know, Prime, the biggest thing that you've been, you know, and he has taken us everywhere, he's right. And this has been unbelievable to get it, because we're getting a lot of his story that we thought about, but we didn't know until we saw it. One of the biggest things that he said to me was, Pastor, is so many individuals that are idols. You know, I would have, Ida. But they just didn't seize that moment. You know, I really want to know what made you develop a tenacity, because I'm about to say something. One of the coaches said to me that when Deion was young, he would tell the coach, I got to get home by 9 o'clock. He said, why? He said, you got to do chores? He said, no. He said, you got to cook? He said, no. He said, I got to get home at 9 o'clock because I got to go look at Doogie Howser, MD. That's my favorite television show. He said he would drive and laugh and say, Doogie Howser. He said, but you know what, Pastor? Deion had us extra something in him. Even when he was young, he was like that Doogie Howser character. It's like he could see before anyone else could see what was going on. What made you, man, have that kind of tenacity, even in the midst of what you saw? Because some people may have saw it, but they couldn't grasp it. How did you get it in 3D?
First and foremost, I had a mother that was tenacious, that worked her butt off. Ends never met, but she made sure I had the best of everything that I could possibly have. And she was tough and she was stubborn and she passed out whooping. She passed out spankings. It was real. It wasn't no CPS back in the day. It was a real whooping. It was a beatdown. That's what it was. And seeing her work ethic, you got to understand, I also had a biological father who had he was the prime side of me. Daddy Buck was prime. He was that dude, but he had a drug addiction. I had a stepfather who was the Deion, that he worked his butt off at Wick's Lumber down the street, and he was very recluse. He was very subdued. So that was the Deion, and that was the prime. So I saw these two things, and I saw those two addictions, and I made a vow to myself, I'm not going to be like that. And you never gave me credit for being headstrong. You always say I was headstrong in sports, but you never said I was headstrong when it comes to those type of things. I could convince myself of anything, and I did. I said, you know what? I looked in the mirror at a very early age, and I said, you're never going to smoke, you're never going to drink, you're never going to taste alcohol, you're never going to get high a day of your life. Fort Myers, I never have.
Yeah.
When I was a sophomore at Florida State, I used to use profanity, cursing with one of my friends, rapping and all that. And I made a decision my sophomore year, Mayor. I was never going to use profanity again.
God bless you.
And I never have. Yeah. So whatever my mind, I told myself I would do, I did. I also said, I'm not just going to be good. When I was 7, I said, Mama, I'm going to be rich one day. On 1625 Hennessy, I said, I'm going to make a lot of money. And you're never going to have to work another day of your life. She said, okay, until then, you go get the lawnmower, you go out there and make it do what it does. True story. So the ridicule, the hate, the bad stories, the ignorance, the adolescence, the ignorance that I dealt with all over the country, not from this town, I didn't care. Because you know why? Oh, God. Because I seen my mama right there at Lee Memorial Hospital pushing that darn cart. Cleaning up. Making sacrifices. Doing what she had to do. Richard, you know what, man, that we never talked about, and we've talked about everything, and you were my best friend growing up. You named me Prime. My mama never seen me play in high school. My mama never seen me play a game in high school because she was working, hustling, trying to go get it for me. So I didn't need your hand claps. I didn't need your praise. I didn't need your articles. I didn't need it because I had learned how to internalize and compartmentalize everything in my life. Because I would look out there and there wasn't nobody there. Daddy Bucky was there. My stepfather never came because he was tired from work. Real talk. That's what it was, Pastor. I made a vow to myself what I was going to be. So when you was out there smoking and drinking, I was on the beach running, man. When you were talking about me, I was training. I was so busy. I played 2 sports, 3 sports in high school. I didn't have time for the nonsense. I didn't want to be like nobody here. I wanted to be better than everybody here. I was never a follower. I was always a leader. I was the head. I was never the tail. I was above. I was never beneath. I wanted to be the best ever, not just the best. That's the difference.
Wow.
And you are.
Yeah.
I tried.
You know, man.
I'm sorry, Pastor, for getting heavy. I didn't plan on getting heavy.
You good. You good. You good. I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping myself together up here.
You want me to show you a little love
Yeah,
there,
show
Pastor?
me some love here, man. Got me emotional. But, you know, Prime, I think that what happens is people see the glory, but they don't understand the story. They see they see what it is, but they don't see who he is. And so, you know, this is who you are. You are Fort Myers on steroids. Not, you know what I'm trying to say.
Adrenaline.
Yeah. You are that maximized level of potential even coming from 7C. I'm telling you, when I went to those apartments, and we went to those apartments today, I was telling Talon in the backstage, when we went to those apartments and we knocked on that door and those young people came out, it was a whole lot of people just coming out saying, wait a minute, prime time is here? Yeah. He said, no, I was right here. This is my house. I was raised in these apartments and blah, blah, blah. How much confidence do you exude when you give hope to people who are in that kind of position, man?
It's people here locally gave hope to me. Pastor, you got to understand, I go back to what I saw, man. The Sanders are very successful. There's so many people on that team that I played for in the Pop Warner that were very successful. The Valentines, the Graces. I'm trying to regurgitate all these different names. It was so many people that I think we had 3 or 4 African American kids on the whole team. And when I went over to their homes on the weekends, man, I started dreaming outside the box. And what I'm coming back to, because I don't want to get off course with these youngsters and the stuff that we're dealing with in the city, is they don't have hope. It's no hope. They think the only way out is with a ball and a bat, a microphone and rapping and a beat behind it. The richest people I ever met never played a sport, never rapped one lyric, never sang one song. But they don't get an opportunity to intertwine and intermingle with these type of people. They don't see it. Therefore, they detect it as a hopeless situation. Right. The first professional game I've ever played in, I've ever witnessed in my life was the first game I played in. Wow. I didn't get an opportunity to go see the Bucks, to go see the Dolphins, to go see anything as a kid. I never did. The first one was the one.
Right. You know, Carolyn, as a councilwoman, you did the Black the Box movement here, Ban the Box. And the idea was your mistake should not tether you for the rest of your life.
Correct.
In that same sense that Prime is saying, you got to move beyond. How was it received here? Did this get understood? Why you were so passionate? You were telling me about that, about Pastor, you know, a felon should not define you. A mistake or this or that. At least give me a shot to be who I am before you judge me. Tell me about that here.
Well, that was one of the first things that I brought to the table. And coming from where I came from, we have a lot of single mothers. We have a lot of convicted felons that live in my area. So with that being said, we have to help the ones that can't help themselves. So I read up on it, and I think during that time, there was only 16 states, and it was only 3 cities in the state of Florida that has passed that. And I think it was Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tampa at the time. So I was thinking that would be something good for our city, because, you know, when you look at if one thing I want to let Deion know, we have a lot of single mothers, so either some of the fathers has passed away or are in prison. So when you have these young guys that's out there, those guys try to be the man of the house. So, you know, it's not a good thing for these kids to actually do the things they're doing, but we have nobody to teach them anything different. It's hard for a woman to teach a boy how to be a man. And we have a lot of missing fathers. So I thought of the Man in the Box to give those fathers a second chance. And our council accepted it, and we passed it, and we took that off the city applications.
Would y'all give a hand for that? Isn't that wonderful? It's good. You know, I want to go back. I want to go back to you, Antong, and then, man, I got a question for you. And then we're gonna sum it, because I want Deion, where you are and where you are right now. I can see that this needs to be said the way you're saying it. Tell them you were right, because privately she was saying, Pastor, I just got to get them to know, and then get Deion to feel it, and just let it all come together, and just watch what God does. So you were right. Great instincts. You know, and I was starting with your story. Here's why I want to make sure I say this, that several big issues, you know, kind of sweep us with the crime stuff. It's felony, it's the violence, it's the, you know, kids not being able to function. I need to ask you this question. As a solution, what have you seen is a credible solution that we could say to those who may not understand this whole deal, but they're trying to leave out with something that they can hold on to? Just give us a synopsis of a solution, so when we leave from here, they'll understand that this wasn't just us vibing, but there are some seeds that we can plant to give some people some solutions. Go ahead.
Okay, one thing I want to say is listening to Prime and then listening to Terrell about the ban the block and the exposure part. I think when I hear that, this will come to my mind. I think it's a responsibility for everybody in here to reach out to somebody. I mean, just period. It ain't nothing hard. It was that exposure that you got that exposed you to something. For me, it was when I got to prison, I was exposed to that, and I said, I ain't going back. You know, and then I met Bishop Omar, and I met you, and it's that same exposure. So I think what we're saying here is just, it's about us reaching beyond what we see and looking at people for what they are and who they are, human beings, and saying, let me give this person a shot, because you never know. Just like what Prime said, the people in the audience that inspired him, they probably didn't know that. But because something they did triggered something in him. And I'm quite sure it's a lot of people in here that if we just only reached out, gave a hand up, that we can change this whole thing around. It's not even about a program. It's not about a law. It's not about none of that. It's about us being human beings and helping the next person. That's what you did for me. That's what he did for me. That's what somebody did for him. That's what somebody did for you. And it go on. It's about us just looking beyond those biases and to just say, how can I help? Because you never know. I'm quite sure they know, and I'm going to be quiet. They didn't know when you was playing baseball that he was going to be one of the best to ever do it. They didn't know that. But because they were good people, to take that chance to give him that exposure, he became that, man. That's what this is about. The whole thing is about us looking beyond what we see and saying, because you can never know who's gonna be the next what. And like what my brother do, because earlier this morning on the field, a young man said, I didn't even tell you this. A young man said to me, I said, what do you think about this? He said, man, I've always looked up to Deion. I never met him. He said, I come from a single family home. I don't know my dad. He's never been around. I got little brothers and sisters. He said, by seeing Deion today, that inspired me to go harder and harder to provide for my family and be the best athlete I can be. That's what that young man told me. He didn't know that, but that's what that young man told me. So in summation, all I'm saying is we have to be able to look beyond. I don't allow myself being a felon. That don't stop. I've been all over the world. That don't stop me, because in my mind I say I can do whatever I want to do, and I'm exposed to so much stuff. Everybody out here, I'm challenging everybody out here to look at somebody, find somebody that may not look like you, may not agree with you, may be different than you. Reach your hand out to that person. That's how we make this. That's how we make Fort Myers better. That's how we make the world better. Look out.
You know, thank you. Anton, it was great. You know, Mayor, since we've been here, you've been a great host.
Yes, you have.
You've been a great individual to just connect to in spirit. This means a lot, your willingness. You told me something that was strong last night. You said, you know, Pastor, what I've been doing for the last 20 years is to try to make this area the best we could be, but giving people opportunity, giving those who may not have opportunity. And so I'm willing to do whatever to give opportunity. Accept the criticism, I accept this. It was inspiring. And I believe you meant it. What is the one foundation piece of your administrative outlook that makes this work? Because Deion has just been impressed with how it looks now and what it feels like. And then to meet you, the mental architect for some of these things is unbelievable. Tell us, so we'll know, what's the foundation of of that labor? Why do you do what you do the way you do it?
Well, my head is spinning here. There's so much I could say. But it's hard work. It takes a lot of people to move things in cooperation. And in my life, and Deion, you sparked some emotional feelings in me. But in my life, I have found that I can get the best quality of life and feel the best about myself if I start with respecting others. In the back room, we were talking about love, hope, and faith. And we know that we're taught in the Bible that of the greatest of these is love, right? And Deion, I never have heard in my life my father say a profane word. He said a lot of profound words, but he doesn't use profanity. I can't say that in my life. But man, do I respect you, and I'm trying to respect myself enough to not do that for the benefit of my family and my kids and the kids that I reach out to, and I thank you for sharing that. And he's never had a drop of alcohol touch his lips. So when you brought that up, I'm sitting here thinking, wow, what a class act. But the quality of life that I've known, Pastor and Anton, has been that if I show respect for others, I get that back like tenfold. And when Jesus was walking on this earth, he was the only perfect person on this earth at that time, 2,000 years ago. And his command to us was to be forgiving, right? Terrell was right. I'm so proud of this council that I have the privilege of serving with, because the state of Florida had Amendment 4 this last go-round, which set up the reentry program from the felon reentry. And this council, and they're sitting here tonight, took it upon themselves to preempt that vote by passing a resolution urging every citizen to pass that law, and it passed by a landslide. Because Jesus Christ said, forgive. We are a nation and a city of second chances and third chances, because we value the human spirit and the human being. So, Pastor Omar, as I sit here and ponder that question, the best thing we can do as a society is exactly what you and Antoine and Deion and all of us and so many in this room have done. And the reason we know you have done it is because Deion just sat here tonight and said it to you to your face. Thank you for believing in him enough and supporting him. And we were also talking in the back room that we can't control other people, Pastor, can we? There's people who are going to make mean decisions and make bad decisions and intentionally do things. And as a civil society, we have to rally around that in the ways that this team is doing up here tonight and push that back with that love, right? And also to lead. And sometimes you have to get a little angry to do that. Even Jesus got angry in the temple where they were exchanging the coin. He kicked the tables over, right? He was angry. It's a natural human feeling. But we have to forgive and move on. Lift up the youth. I can't tell you how proud I am of y'all, and my head is spinning in so many ways that as we go into the future, that we can lift up kids. There's movements afoot in this city that I want to share with you. The University of Florida Gulf Coast University's criminal justice reform is working with our city and leadership, volunteers, just like y'all, who are lifting up. And I could go on and on, but I want to say one final thing, Deion. In Michael Jordan's biography, he said what you said, and I love this heart that you have. Michael Jordan said, when I was competing, I made up in my mind that when I moved to that basket with the basketball, that no one could stop me. And Deion, when you were living your life and playing and you would do this and you would point to the end zone, you were saying what Michael Jordan was saying. I'm going to the end zone. Nobody's going to stop me. And that's why you don't use foul language and you don't drink and you're reaching out to kids, because if you give them that determination, and you're inspiring every adult here, it doesn't have to be young people either, does it, Pastor? With that kind of determination, I don't know if it's fortuitous tonight that we would come together in this way, but as I sit here and listen to you tonight, my wife and I have been making a decision to try to go to a celebration of life next week in North Carolina. I lost one of my brothers up there that I grew up with, and sitting here listening to you and Richard Fain and all your brothers and Ernest Graham and all the people that are here, Ernest Brown, Tad Yetter and friends who come, who love and support you and others. Jenny and I have decided that we need to get up there, leave Tuesday and get up there and have that celebration. I've already been to 2 this week. It's amazing. But Pastor, that's a long-winded answer to your question, but thank you for the opportunity to address that. I think that's the best answer I can give you, and thank you for being in Fort Myers.
No, thank you. Would you give it up for the mayor? Come on, clap your hands for the mayor. And to Antong and to Carolyn, you have been amazing, but you have been, the spirit and the soul behind this. Would you all give it up for these who have put their hearts and minds? Come on, give it up for Councilwoman and for Antong. One of the sayings that I always say is only inspired people can inspire people. That you cannot find refreshing water from a well that's dry. One of the most inspiring individuals that I've ever met is Deion Sanders. He wakes up talking loud. I guess that's just a Fort Myers thing, you know. When he call you, he like, Pastor! I'm like, bruh, come on, man. I'm not on the treadmill at 6 in the morning. Like, come on, Pastor, get up, man. I said, dude, you know. But I act like I'm working out, but I don't. I be laying down. He gives me all these sayings that are just, I'm talking about amazing sayings that just come from his mind. And when he said, I said, man, hold up, bro, write that down. If you don't tweet it, I'm about to. We got a Twitter fight because it's that inspirational. I've heard him speak to thousands of people, literally. Heard him speak in rooms that are small, in events that he has given me the privilege to just tag along. And, you know, we were at one event where the New York Times and others were interviewing him, and they had me in the back. And he said, you know, I'm not going to talk unless my pastor come up here. He brings those he loves with him. True. He don't leave them out and try to become, he is who he is. And he going to challenge you. But his challenges are done with love and with the kind of foresight of what you can be. He'll speak into your future while you're still living in your present. And he'll challenge you to get there. And every time he sees you, he's talking in your futuristic, who you shall be. And I love it. And so we've been at so many of these. I can't tell you how many times we've been in these. And the best thing that I've seen is that when Deion speaks and then he allows others to just talk to him. So we want to get ready. Prime, if you've been just inspiring us. You know, I don't think it's a dry or a stomach that ain't been shaken up here since you've been talking. And I know you want to have questions and answers from your friends and your family members, and I want to give you that opportunity. Did you want to say something, tell them before we?
Well, yes. One thing I wanted to ask Deion, is there a message you could tell these youths? We have quite a few youths in here today.
I'm going to get to that.
Is there a message? Okay, you're
I'm
going
about
to
to get down with that in a minute.
All right, so we will exit because it's time for Prime. And Prime, we're going to let you have the stage.
You're going to stay.
I'll stay with you. Y'all give it up for these who are here. Come on, clap your hands, seriously.
How's everyone doing? We ready to have a little fun now. I got company out the way. I could be me, right? Take off these. I don't know if they dark lens. I can't see like I used to. So these are actually glasses. I don't know if the lens changes. Time, man. The most precious coin we possess is time, isn't it? You got to be careful how you spend it, who you spend it with, who you spend it on, how you allocate it. I'm up here in front of you right now strictly because of the decisions that I made. Some took a left, I stayed right. But the decision that I made with my time. Young people, where you at? What you gonna do with your time? I was in the barbershop with JJ, you here? JJ Chaney, I was in the barbershop with him today. And this gentleman came in. He was about 206, 245, 250. I said, you in high school, son? He said, yeah. I said, what you doing? You play ball? No, sir, I quit. I said, why did you do that? I don't know. I said, what are your future plans? I don't know. You going to college? I don't know. What you doing with your time, man? You had no plan. I'm only up here in front of you right now because I had a plan. And I did not allow anybody out there to abort my plan, or affect my plan, or infect my plan. Because I had a plan, and that plan was bigger than me. See, most of your plans are all about you. Your plan has to be bigger than you, because you have the propensity, each and every one of you, I don't care how profound, how intelligent, how articulate, how smart, how rich, how fortunate you are, you will quit on yourself. You will quit on you. You ever tried jogging by yourself? You ever tried working out by yourself? Oh, yeah. You'll quit on you. You'll quit on yourself if you don't have that tenacity, the tenaciousness, that thing that separates you from the other. I don't play by my time. Pastor tell you, I don't go nowhere that ain't in my purpose. I don't just show up anywhere. You're not going to randomly see me, not anywhere. Because I'm either on my way to or on my way from. Everything I do is purposeful, it's profound, it's proficient, it's effective, and it's effective. My time. I already know what I'm going to do when I walk off this stage and where I'm going to eat tonight. I already know that. I don't meander around anywhere. I don't play about my time. It's ironic that Richard, after dropping 36, can I be praying for a minute? After dropping 36 one night, you know, a couple dunks back to back, Richard named me prime time. Richard Fain, where you at, baby? Boy, I love this man to death. He named me prime time, and it stuck. I thank you for that, man. I thank you for that. I don't play about it. I thank the mayor, I thank Carolyn, I thank you. This is long overdue. This is sort of like a reconciliation for me. It really is. And the reason it hurts so bad because you're a family. I don't give a darn what they say about me in Dallas. I don't give a darn what they say about me in Atlanta, San Francisco, New York, Cincinnati, some of the other places that I participated in, I played for salary. I don't care because it was my job. But when you say it, when you naysay me, when you talk about me, see, some things I let slide, but y'all family. You only get one shot at calling the place home. And that's y'all. I never asked you for nothing. Not one thing. Because I come from a woman who worked her butt off. So I understood hard work. I understood if I don't kill, I ain't gonna eat. I understood that. So what bothered me is I didn't ask you for nothing. I was giving more than I was receiving. But yet and still you had a problem with me. I'm you. I'm that little kid in the back. I'm that girl that is confused right now, just sitting in the middle somewhere. I'm that adult that the relationship is on the rocks. I'm you. So being transparent, it hurt. Because I didn't want nothing. But you. I purposely wore this tonight. This ain't me. This ain't me. Richard, is this me? I was real subdued, real laid back. Never smoked, never drank. How crazy could I really be? I created an image because I found out that my position wasn't handsomely paid. So when I had promised my mama that she was never going to have to work, I had turned an offer from the Kansas City Royals coming out of high school down that would have took care of us but not secured us for life. So I had to have a plan. This was for you. Prime, how could you say that was for me? Let me explain. I got time. Everything you looked up to, I'm talking about my African American folks right now. When we were shorty, was the drug dealers, was the people who had it. Had the loud cars, had the boom, and guess what else they had, Richard? They had all the jewelry, right? That's what you looked up to. That's what they wanted, Talon. That's what they want, right? You were in that era. You understand that era. That's what y'all wanted. So guess what I did? Because I'm from Fort Myers to the core. I tried to show you, you can have all this, but do it this way. And my own folks missed it. This wasn't me. This was an image I created in a dormitory room. How many chains did I graduate with, Richard? 1 or 2? Earn. Where you at, Earn? How many chains did I graduate with? Maybe 1? This was for you, Fort Myers. I'm trying to show the shorties here, man, you don't have to drink, you don't have to smoke, you don't have to sell no dope, you don't have to do nothing. Man, just get your schoolwork and play some ball and be good to folks. And I guarantee you, you're going to be all right. But he told you, like, I love TV shows. I was a TV enthusiast as a child. So it was not one TV show that I didn't watch. That I didn't know all the characters. I didn't know I watched that stuff because that's the way I dreamt out of the box. That's the way I thought. I saw myself in that show, and I emulated those guys. And I took little pieces of Muhammad Ali. I took pieces of Dr. J. Julius Erving. He was the Jordan before Jordan for you youngsters. I took bits and pieces of Hank Aaron, who endured racism and racial suggestions up on the home run title. I took in pieces of O.J. Simpson, how he treated his lineman. Not the O.J. you know, I'm talking about O.J. I knew. Took bits and pieces out of that and incorporated that in myself. And different characters on television. When I father right now, the way I father, it's a little Fred Sanford. It's a little James Evans. It's all those little characters intertwined in one. That's the way I father, because I took bits and pieces of those persons, but somewhere along the line, you thought that was me. Fort Myers, I have always loved you, respected you, wanted you to come up, wanted you to come out, wanted you to do more, wanted you to win, wanted you to be successful, always. Amen. And enough is enough. The shenanigans are over. I'm 51 years old, man. I ain't got time for the nonsense no more. I ain't got time for the foolishness, the hate, the backbiting, the backstabbing. I ain't got time for that no more. We only have a limited amount of time. I went to see my grandma today, and I'm just sitting up there thinking about all the memories that we shared, that I live with my grandma on 2933 Edison across. I see how the stars and the fields and everything is so beautiful. And once upon a time, we only had 2 basketball courts there, and we had the rec center down the street where I learned how to do a multiplicity of things. And I learned how to, fight as well at the rec center. Had to defend yourself at the rec. But we don't have this kind of time, Fort Myers. And kids, don't make the excuse that you don't know no better. Don't make the excuse that you don't have the opportunities. I'm going to tell you why. We didn't have the Instagram and the Twitter and the social media. You could hit a button and travel anywhere you want. You could hit a button mentally and go anywhere you want. You could hit a button and find out anything you want to do. You could be rich with not really being nobody. It's on you. What you gonna do with your time? And don't get mad because someone else is just more profound and they just exercised it and exhausted their gift a little bit more than you did. That's one thing I love about Ernie Brown, Richard, and some of the guys that I may have forgotten because I can't see, it's dark up here. They were never jealous, man. Now, something that broke my heart that I just, after how many years, just shared with Richard yesterday. I said, man, I'm gonna tell you something. You really hurt me, man. He said, man, how I hurt you? I said, you supposed to come to Florida State with me. You really were. But they told you was going to be in my shadow for the rest of your life and all that. I said, this, my boy, that hurt my heart. But I didn't stop looking out, did I? You didn't have a want in the world when you was in Florida, did you? It's my boy, because I love him. 4 miles to life. Ern was never a hero athletically in this city. I'd never seen Ern smoke, never seen Ern drink, never seen Ern use profanity, and one of the hardest working men that I've ever known in my life, and one of the most consistent human beings that I've ever known in my life. Absolutely. And he, See, sometimes we look for role models and we run up on models playing roles. Ern was not that. We look for guys with the flash and the glamour and the glitz. Ern wasn't that, but Ern was consistent. Love him to this day. Love him to this day, and so many more of you out there that I can't see. But Fort Myers, trust me, enough is enough. What you've done with the city, what we can do collectively with this city, incorporating some of the wonderful things that my best friend, my pastor, my bishop is doing in Dallas, and some of the things that we can do, and even having the entrance. Sports got me out and gave me promise. Sports could bring me back and give us promise, because so many different things, Billy, I know how your mind works, so many things I know I could bring to this city athletically right now that's going to be phenomenal, starting with this camp tomorrow. So many kids are registered. And trust me, we're not doing a camp to make no money, because this is not, camp is not a moneymaker, by the way. We're just doing something to make sure we pay for the people that came down, and trust me, we're not making a gain. I don't need nothing from you in that capacity. I'm here to bless you. And one of the gentlemen that was in the little private workout we had this morning, he got blessed. He's going to my Prime 21 camp, which is some of the best kids in the nation that are underclassmen in Dallas this summer. He won that today by just being on the field, working his butt off. Yeah. One of the kids from Lehigh, I think he's from Lehigh, which is wonderful. Now, let's have a good time. Can you turn on the lights? Can somebody turn on the light? I want to see everybody, because I want a Q&A. Turn on the lights. I want to see people. Let's yeah, there you go. Let's have a good time. You can ask questions, anything you want. Now, let me let you know how this goes. I'm going to be straight up. No chaser. Ask me what you want. I'm going to come right back at you. And I don't think I forgot about that shot Pastor threw about divorces early on. I still got one for him. Yeah, I don't think I forgot about that, Pastor. I'm going to get you on that one. Let's go. First question. Usually how this starts, someone asks a question, then it steamrolls from then on. Anything you want. Yes, sir. Over there, right there. Yes. You got to stand up. Hey, Mama, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. I have a loud voice. Is this on?
Just talk, baby.
Okay. Well, my name is Miss Hawkins, and I'm the mother of Janae Hawkins.
Okay.
And the reason I'm here is because my daughter, I say she's everyone's daughter, Fort Myers' daughter. She realized, I want to say maybe 2 years ago. Last year she played softball, went to the World Series. Some things we're just naturally good at, okay? And then also, what else did you do? There's so many things, but more importantly, she flies. And so what she says is, Mom, I don't want to be known athletically. You pull her name up, and that's what shows up, is athletics. But she's graduating a year early, magna cum laude, you know? But there's a curse with the blessing, so therefore she's missing out on certain things that, had she not skipped 11th grade, that her counselor said that she would, you know, receive. So how do the kids that's met with resistance, that's doing great, and I mean awesome.
What resistance are we talking about, Mother?
I'm sorry?
What resistance are we talking about? Because it seems like everything is pretty darn good from what I'm hearing.
It is awesome.
So what?
She's really
What
sharp,
is the
yes.
question?
The question is, how do we overcome the resistance of being categorized as just athletic when academics are outstanding? She's flying planes already.
Have you applied academically for a multitude of schools?
She has already been accepted into one of the most prestigious aviation schools there is, and that's Embry-Riddle.
Well, what's the problem?
Resistance within the community.
Oh, say that. You going all around the corner to
Resistance, and it's not just with her.
Sis, hold on. Everybody's not going to accept your gift and love your gift. Everybody's not going to appreciate your gift. You guys go out and get crazy gifts for Christmas and birthdays and all that. They don't even like those. So you think a natural gift that God gave you, that everybody's going to adore her and run and clap and sing and dance and joy? No, baby. Since the enemy is coming at her, she needs to know that she is a blessed woman. Because if everybody was clapping for her, that's when you should be worried. But since she's receiving resistance, that means she's on the right course. Sis, you on the right course. With everybody clapping and singing for you, be careful. All right? Be careful. Be careful. That's your... Pastor, you want to add to... Come on, preacher. You want to add to that? You ain't got that night off. Come on now.
Well, I mean, you hit it on the right thing. Here's what you got to know, that your gift can open the door, but you said something to a young person earlier, your character keeps you there. So don't get nervous about those who don't understand the light when they're in the darkness. You just be the light for the darkness. And you keep yourself connected to where your true gift is coming, and that's from God, you'll be fine. And then, mother, you don't have to worry about that feeling, because I know what you was asking. That feeling of isolation can get very loud, even in your own mind. I remember when Prime first talked to me, he said, Pastor, imagine having a whole bunch of shoes and then don't know where you're going. Imagine he was giving all these scenarios and saying, imagine feeling empty even though you're full. Well, the way you really find that fulfilled life is you live on purpose. You stay on purpose and God got you.
Amen. Let me add this to you. Hand claps don't mean they clapping for you. Okay? And hand claps don't mean you're being profound. Some of my most profound speeches and lectures and talks has come with true silence. Because when the silence came, that means I was in there and I was provoking thought. See, when they clapping for you like church, that's an emotional type of state of mind. So be careful with the hand claps. When I told you my mama never saw one of my games, I had to clap for myself. Okay? So everybody, even the ones closest to you, are not going to be there to clap for you, baby girl. God has separated you and made you different and made you special. Receive that and believe that. I promise you, it's going to be okay. It's good. Next question. I like that. Yes, sweetheart in the back. Just stand up and say it, baby.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I live across the bridge in Cape Coral, and my biggest thing is bridging the two communities. I think that's like a huge problem around here. I try to bring athletes from that side of the bridge to coincide with athletes on this side of the bridge to become friends. Not only do they play against each other, they need to play with each other. And how can we overcome that? Because it seems like two different worlds.
Pastor Pepper, that's a community thing. I'll give them the athletic version of it, but that's more of a community thing. That's on you.
You know, when you have identity, the easiest thing to do is to connect with identity when you don't have resources to bridge what you feel is your next step. What I mean by that is every one of us want to belong to something. And so when we're trying to belong to it, to break it up and say, let's integrate and belong to a larger group, it gets a little scary, gets a little nerve-wracking. I never forget, when I tried, myself and Antong, we did the first Crip and Blood peace treaty in the city of Dallas. We brought the Crips and the Bloods together. And one of the things that we found, and this I believe can help you, and I'm glad you're doing it, so thank you for doing that. We started saying, when there is common pain, how can we become each other's enemy? See, if poverty is our pain, me and you in the same boat. How we become real enemies when we have the same issues? We should be partners and teammates. So we tried to dismantle this idea of us against them. It said, no, it's all of us. It's one us. It's not a them. And so figuring out ways to have common ground is a beautiful thing. And let me just tell you this, is that if you really want a sustained connection, experiences that make each other vulnerable creates connections where trying to show each other strength don't. See, if I can show you I'm a superior athlete, then you'll show me you're a superior athlete. But when we both are in a vulnerable position, creating connective vulnerability helps create bridges and real sustained life. Some people that you love are the ones that carried you when you was in your most desperate state. So we can't be afraid to even show where we're vulnerable at. And young people in this culture, in our culture, we have figured out how to act as if we are not vulnerable, and it's not true. So that's just some of the advice I would give as you create these bridges. Make sure that each one of them, let me give you this last idea. One time we brought about 40 Bloods and about 30 Crips, and we mixed them up. We took them way out into the country. And it was so dark you couldn't see nothing. And we took them out to the woods, and we paired them up. And then we took them on this ropes course. And you had to trust the person that was holding the rope. So it was a Crip on the top of the rope and the Blood on the bottom of the rope. So they was walking on the rope saying, "Say, bro, now don't be playing now for real." But they became vulnerable. No, I got you. Because they each had something to lose in that moment. And there was no safety nets. The safety net was trusting each other. So I'm just giving you kind of an example of what I mean when I say that.
Yes, sir, brother in the back. Thank you, sir.
My name's Anthony Thomas. I want to ask you two questions. One, your pastor mentioned something about a 55-page report that you guys have. I'd like to, if you could flush that out a little and tell us what some of the issues are.
Okay.
The other thing, I remember a couple of years ago, Deion, you came to City Hall and you had a press conference with the late Veronica Shoemaker. And you presented a plan to the city council and the mayor at that time to work with the city to build homes for people. I know it didn't work out. Is that something that you're also interested in as you're coming back into our community?
Very much so, very much so. When I travel through, downtown is wonderful, let me reiterate that, but when I travel through the inner city, the parts that I frequented, I still see desolate situations, I still see poverty, I still see homes that are ravaged. I still wish we could do something about that, and I'm pretty sure they have a plan, and I just want to understand that plan, and I want to help them activate that plan so we could clean up some eyesores. Now, what I can say, now I continued to keep journeying. And what was the project, Richard, I was raving about, that they redid the whole thing? Oh my God, that is so beautiful. That is so darn beautiful. Because I remember the old, that one way in, one way out, the police station, I remember that. So you got to understand now, it's a lot of wins going on in the inner city as well. It's not all losses. So it's some wonderful things going on, and I hope to just inspire and encourage and be a force to drive more promise to our inner city. Yes.
How you doing?
How you doing, my man?
I want to welcome you home.
Thank you, sir.
As an educator, I've been quite concerned about the state of black males.
Okay.
And what's happening with African-American males today. We know that as a result of poverty, a result of racism, a lack of true interest in the value of education, that leads to gang behavior and drug behavior. But one of the issues is that drugs and guns that are brought in our neighborhood, we don't own the factories. Mm-hmm. We don't produce it. Those are brought in by other people. I'm concerned about the benefit of establishing a black male conference where we bring together educated black men and young men on the street to begin to identify some of these problems that the brother talked about and look at solutions that we could address in the community.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Let me, Pastor, I'm gonna need you on this one too. But we don't bring, we don't own Jordans either, but we bring them into our community. We don't own 20-inch rims, but we bring them into our community. We choose to bring in what we want to choose to bring in. So I can't blame that on society. That's us. That's a decision we make. We need to have better choices, and men need to stand up. We are so quick to blame things on others. We're all sitting where we are sitting because of the decision we made. Not you, sweetheart. We made this darn decision. That's why we're in the situation we're in. When we're able to make better decisions, and when it comes to education, I wish more men would teach. We're riddled with classrooms that are led by women, and women have been some of the most profound teachers in the history. I don't know if anybody is in our era, but that was what was it, Ms. Dowse? Oh, Lord, she just hit me right then. I said, if anybody my age have been to Ms. Dowse, you understand what I'm talking about. You talking about an educator. Oh, Lord. Yeah. But it's on us, sir. It's on us. Men don't teach. They don't want to teach. They don't like the salaries in teaching. I wish collectively legal legislature would pay men such to try to convince them, because we need males in the classroom. We need a man's voice. A lot of these kids, only time they hear a man's voice is on the field. That's it. That's why coaches play such an important role in your young man's life. They'll listen to the coach, but won't listen to the father because the father's absentee or whatever. And sometimes when the father is there, the coach may have more influence because he sees value in the coach and don't see that same type value in the father. We got to create value so they understand. This is a real game. It's called life, and it has eternal ramifications. You know right now if you're winning or losing, because there is a scoreboard in life. And everybody tells you, from the car you driving, from the clothes you wearing, from the stuff you have, they tell you if you're winning or losing. So that's on us. Let's start looking at us. Let's start looking at us and start challenging our own folks to do better. And ladies, stop giving your goods away to these fools. They know where a fool gonna come out. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
Right. I watched you as Rebels.
Amen.
I watched you at Florida State. I watched you with the Falcons. And I loved you then, but man, I love you even more now.
Thank you.
I'm in youth sports, and it takes a village, man.
Yeah.
It takes a village. And what you're doing now is awesome. And I respect you even more now than I did back then.
I appreciate it. If it weren't for youth sports, I wouldn't be standing right here. A person named Brave and Helen Capel blessed me. One of the hardest, talking about compartmentalized, one of the hardest moments in my life, and you guys, some of you knew, one of the hardest moments in my life was to get up there in the Hall of Fame and articulate a speech that I don't ever write them down because I think out of my head, but to understand that there's one significant person that was not there. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Dave Capel. If it weren't for the Ron Hoovers, I wouldn't be here. But to compartmentalize that and to understand that in his excitement of coming, he suffered a heart attack. One of the toughest moments of my life. If it wasn't for that man and that woman and that whole organization, I have an organization in Dallas called Truth. Trust in God, respect myself and others, understand I have unlimited possibilities, try my best, never give up, honor the truth in this creed at all times. Our kids from 5 to 12 can regurgitate that as well as the parents. I want to do stuff like that here, but I got to trust my brand, who is me, in the hands of somebody that can carry it. Because I'm not going to be here like that. I have kids to raise, I have things to do. My mama's there, my sister's there, my nieces, my nephew, all of them are there in Dallas. So I wish that I could give you the formula of what works and how it works. We have a, Darren, where's Buck? Where you at, Buck? Hey, Coach Buck, this is my right-hand man. Buck, how many uniforms do we have in a warehouse in Dallas? Unarmed, custom-made, truth. So it is my dream and my desire, and I talked to JJ about it already, I talked to Richard, I want to have a truth right here in Fort Myers. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. My name's Karen.
I'm sorry, I'm just very polite. My mama told me, ma'am is everyone. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm not aging you. I apologize for that.
Well, anyway, my name is Karen Putman Watson. I'm here you're talking a lot about young men and what you're going to do and what you want to do in the community. But as you said, like you, experience, education, and exposure has gotten me where I am. I'm not filthy rich like you are, but I'm happy where I am because, like you, I came from Jones Walker. So with that said, impacting our community with experience and exposure like you and I had outside of Dunbar community is what's going to help change the community, our children, to get them to be better, to know that there's more. In your 50-page report, is there a program or something in there that will allow our children to have experience, exposure outside of the Dunbar community? I am one of a co-founder of Impact Dunbar, which is a foundation in the Southwest Florida Community Foundation that focuses exactly on that for young women, educating, experience, and exposure outside of Dunbar. I want to know, do you have a plan, or is there a proposal of such in that 50-page?
Yes, we had in that report, and first, would y'all give a hand for saying that? We have, in that report, it just highlights what we have seen. Very tangential. It's not in depth as we want to be, but we do have some certain things that we see. Just so you'll know, from a violence perspective, there are three things that are the major contributors of violence regardless of race and everything, and that is education or lack thereof, economics, and mentorship. Those are the top three ideas that have to be in place in order for violence to decrease in the community. And it goes on and on. We can just talk about some of the ideas that we know. This is what's going to happen. I want you to please do this tonight. Our team is here. Candace, we have Erica, Tigges, Faith. They are here, and they're going to give you some call to action cards at the end of this that we will use to engage you. That's one of the reasons why we're here. I was just saying, we're not just talking about it. We're going to use those call to action cards that we'll give to you before you leave, and we'll collect those. I don't know if you already have them. If you're not, all right, make sure you fill those out, because we'll use that to be our source back in. So obviously, there are a myriad of issues, and we have a network capability that can cover many of these things. So we don't know how it's going to turn out necessarily, but what we do know is that after this course correction conversation, that will guide our hand as to how we interface. And Deion has some ideas that he's been telling me and just giving us more food that we're going to use to say, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that, but we will engage some of you heroes that are here.
We got time for a couple more questions, then we're going to wrap it up. Yes, please. In the back. Yes, sir.
My name is Jimmy Underwood. Welcome back to Fort Myers.
Thank you, sir.
I'm a civil rights advocate, and I've been working with the city of Fort Myers City Council, Carolyn recently, and advocating for my grandson in particular. But what I want to know, what can we do? Florida is #1 in the nation as far as direct violent youth that commit crimes. Okay, what can we do when those young men come back to our community? What do we have planned as far as helping rehabilitating them to give them the second chance that the mayor spoke about earlier?
Listen, we have a program, my brother, thank you for being a civil rights advocate. We have a program called OGU, Original Gangster University, but it's OGU. We just launched a cohort in Dallas. And it is specifically for individuals who have whatever their causes are, they came back. And how do we catalyze those individuals? So watch this. I think you're going to understand what I'm about to say. Every 21 days, I wonder why we picked 21, but every 21 days, we train these individuals who are catalytic individuals, and then we launch them. We have our OGU director. Where is Erica? Is Erica here? All right, we have an OGU director who is here in the back. We have other things. So that is one of the specific things that we have figured out, is there is a way to use their experience so that they don't cancel themselves out. And then, watch this. We have a Power Song Network. Our Power Song Network director is Tickets here. Where's Tickets? All right, it's Tickets, you got others. But what I'm saying to you is we have thought about that. And one of the reasons why we connected with Deion so strong was that he was saying to me, Pastor, it should not be these young men, young ladies should counsel themselves out completely because they have had a mistake or whatever that case may be. And we know that Florida is number one. We have a big network, believe me, a big, powerful network that's connected to that. Same thing with Texas, California. We have a group in Atlanta. We have a group in Baton Rouge. We just left Detroit. We've been to Oakland. We've been everywhere. And so Fort Myers is absolutely on the table because of this brother right here.
Yes, sir. I'm a big fan, man. I grew up watching you. I used to wear a medal around my head just like you did when I was a kid. My question is really geared towards my son. These girls these days are very forward. And my question to you is, how did you maintain focus on your way up? How did you deal with the young ladies?
Say that again, the last part.
How did you deal with the women, females?
My attraction for success was much more than my attraction for a woman. I wanted it more than I wanted her. Although in some instances she had it too. But her it was just a moment of satisfaction. This it could change generations. So which it is more important? I was just focused, man. I was just always focused. And the innate ability to focus up on an extreme circumstance. Jamie, have you ever seen me out of character? It's out of character. Richard?
I've seen the Deion and the Prime.
Yeah. Out of character, Richard? Earn. Out of character?
Nah.
Pastor?
Never.
Because I was always focused. I've had run-ins with law, and you were well documented. Divorces. My kids have never seen me out of character. Never seen me lose it. My teammates have never seen me lose it. Because I'm focused. I know how to make the main thing the main thing. So most guys that lose focus, it ain't the main thing that they're focusing on. They focusing on the other things. That's the best I can answer that, my brother. Yes, ma'am?
Well, good evening.
Amen.
I can't believe you're finally here. You're finally home in Fort Myers.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. The last time I spoke with you was in Dallas, Texas. I don't know if you remember, at Vet's 50th birthday party.
Okay.
And we discussed a couple of things, but I don't know if you remember me, but I'm now Dr. Shanetta Campbell.
You go ahead, doctor.
I'm John Campbell's sister. If you remember John, you played football.
Yes, I do. I remember the name.
Yes, Coach Campbell, also John Campbell for the Rebels that you played for, was my father. But I have a foundation that I started, and I've called your mother for the last 5 years, trying to get you home. I also bugged my cousin, who you hang out with, Herb Gaynor.
In college.
Yes.
Yes. I know her, but we don't hang out.
Well, he went fishing with you a couple of times because he sent me pictures of it.
Yeah, that was about 25, 30 years ago.
Isn't that long ago?
Yes. I'm honest, Mama.
Well, be honest, that's fine.
Herb is my guy. Now, I love Herb. I'm just giving you the timeline.
Okay.
I want you to think I was absentee in dealing with you. I'm just giving you the timeline.
That's fine. It's okay. But I'm glad that you are home.
I am too.
And I hope you're here for a great purpose.
Yes.
Because I prayed about this. And I want to know what is your main purpose of being home? Is it to give back to our youth and organizations here, such as mine, that are trying to help our children?
Okay.
For instance, I just took a busload of 35 students to college to see colleges that they've never been to a college before, okay? So I am trying to empower our youth and letting them know that besides football and basketball, that there is another level in life.
Amen.
So that's what I've been trying to do. Also, it has been very tedious. Unfortunately, like I said, it started during a rough time in my life during the death of my husband. But I also want to know your purpose of coming back home. Is it for our youth? And
My purpose of coming back home is for everybody.
No, but
No,
without
no. My purpose is for everybody. Everybody. No, let me understand that clearly. I was walking around beautiful downtown Virginia, and it was a African American lady crossing the street on a cane, Mr. Mayor, on a walker. And I'm just sitting up there wondering, how can this lady cross the street alone with a walker? And who I am, I'm gonna go across the street, grab the woman, and make sure she gets across. 4 cars blew the horn, and they didn't even know me. Just thanking, saying, good job, son, good job. That's my purpose.
I understand.
But this is part of my purpose. Like, wherever I am, I'm operating in my purpose. My purpose is not identified for a certain ethnicity, for a certain social climate. My purpose is for people.
I know, but I don't think you're understanding. I'm sorry, maybe I'm not getting it out.
No, I understand.
But my main concern was about our youth. What you just said you did, we have to train them, and we have no one here to do that.
I think you do. I think you underestimate Fort Myers. I think you underestimate. Let me tell you something. Sometimes when we just get in our car and go to the other side of town, you will see a whole new Fort Myers. Sometimes when we just go around the corner and meet some new people, see the thing about life is sometimes we consistent with what we do, who we are. We wake up, we go to work, we go get some meat, we come back home. That's what we do. Every once in a while, my mama used to throw me in a car and we rolled down McGregor. Every once in a while, we went to the other side of town. We went to Naples. Every once in a while, we rolled around and I saw a whole new life. The Rebels took me to North Carolina. My first time I was on a plane for a bowl game blew my mind. So I saw a whole new thing if we just venture out. These people right here are doers. They're handpicked by God to be here tonight. There's a lot of people should have been here, but they're handpicked, each and every one of them, by God to be here. These people right here are doers, movers, and shakers. You need to connect with some of these folks, because obviously the folks you need to connect with, they ain't got it. No, they ain't trying to do it. No, I'm gonna tell you, because you're categorizing people that I know some people sitting in this room will make it happen. So,
Deion, don't misunderstand.
No, I'm
the mayor
understanding.
knows me, Charlie knows me. I try to do my best in our community. But what I'm saying is your football camp going to teach these young men leadership
My
skills?
football camp is going to give these kids an option to go to college and get educated. From the time they step on the field to the time they step off, everything is filmed and recorded. And they're sent out to how many colleges, Billy? 100 colleges. So that's opportunity. That's opportunity. They could go there and change their darn life. It's not just football. That's my entrance. That's what I did. That's not who I am. So if I could secure you, I can't get 400 people here, but I can get them to a camp. So if I just get this audience, it's no telling that 400 could touch 400. That 400 could ultimately be 4,000. However we go about doing it, baby, 3 plus 1 is 4.
Amen.
2 plus 2 is 4. Your way, I said 4 because I'm 4 miles. I said 4. Okay. Your way maybe 4 plus 0. My way may be 2 plus 2. No matter how we equate it, we after the same thing. We after the same thing, baby. I promise you, we hear you clearly and candidly, and we will try our best. But I'm not going to be sitting up here and saying what my purpose is. My purpose is for everybody. That's who God called me to be. Good.
I think I spoke about
Yeah.
It is. It's my purpose too. You might not have understood what I'm trying to say, but that is my purpose too. I love the city of Fort Myers. I try to work hard to get our youth.
You don't try, you do. You do. You do.
Right. Look, let me, I don't mean to interrupt, but we got to close out. Would y'all give?
Hold on.
We got one per.
We can't close out that spirit. We got to close out of the.
No.
Little man.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
You got something over there too.
Pastor, what made you or inspired you to become a pastor?
There you go. Made you inspired you to become a pastor, pastor.
Dealing with Deion, I had to become now, what inspired me to become a pastor? Two things. One, my father was a pastor who God changed his life. If you look at my dad, from head to toe, he has tattoos and all of that. He was in prison, he was this, but I've never seen that. I'm 46 years old. Every day of my life, all I saw my father as a pastor preaching on the streets. So he exposed me to that. And then there was a call. And when I was very young, 12, 13, 14, I knew that I wanted to inspire individuals. And the gospel was the way. And the more the kingdom you get, the more God reveals who you are. And it just became my natural next step. So more than anything I do in any other capacity, I love pastoring, I love the kingdom, and I love God. Amen. So that's what I do.
Okay, my comment is that first of all, change comes through communication. If you don't communicate with people, you don't understand them, and there's never any link together with people that are not like you. You mentioned about the experience of taking kids out to see different places. As we grow as a community, there are a lot of people coming into this community, like myself, that are not from here. But we bring experiences from out here. So communicating with people that are from other places starts that conversation. And I think we really need to do more of that.
Let me do this now. Gentlemen, I gotta shake his hand. I see you. I think I don't see you. Oh. A couple police calls. Hey, Fort Myers, let me tell you something. Mayor, Talon, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I told Pastor today when I was jogging, I went for a nice jog, and God was saying reconciliation. This has been reconciliation, and it's a spirit of peace that's been permeating since I got here. Just talking with some of my friends, going to the farmer's market and rekindling old times, and hearing the stories, even from Talon and all the guys that I've been just fellowshipping with. Take care of my brother. Unbelievable.
It's about time you deserve it.
But it's a two-way street. Yeah, for real. I apologize to you as well. I do. Because I could have just, but timing is everything. Yes, it is. So thank you, man. You, honestly, you have no idea. You have no idea what you all did for me in this particular weekend. Every one of you that came tonight, every one of you, each and every one of you, please go regurgitate what you heard, what you felt, the emotionalism of it, and speak to somebody and bring them in. The best is yet to come. I thank you, I love you, and I promise with all my heart, I'm like, Pastor, I don't lie. Everybody know I don't lie. I cry to you before I lie to you. That's what my daddy Bob used to tell me. I cry to you before I lie to you. I will be back, and I will do a couple things I already know that I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell you because you came home water. Y'all going to tell the news press. Officers, how you doing? How you doing, officers? You have a tough job. I appreciate each and every one of you. You really have a tough job. You have a tough job. Don't be proud because some of the stories I've heard,
Unbelievable. I'm praying for you officers as well as you kids as well. Hey, God bless you, Fort Myers. I love you. I appreciate you. Pastor wants to pray us out.
Let's pray us out. Let's pray us out. As you stand to your feet, stand to your feet. Remember that call to action card. Make sure you fill that out. We have individuals out to make sure they collect those from you. Would you please give it up one more time for Prime Deion Sanders? What a wonderful experience. Let's pray. God, first, what a wonderful time that we've had to share, to become inspired, encouraged, challenged for the prolific ideas that have been shared from this man's heart and from these who have been a part of this experience. Lord, let every seed turn into a harvest. Nothing that is wasted or lost, nothing that's forgotten or misused. Don't let anxiousness and bitterness and forgetfulness cause us not to capture this moment and this momentum and use it to propel us where you want us to go. There's some lifting that has to happen to strengthen our hands. There's some vision that has to happen, so strengthen our sight. And God, there's some listening that has to happen, so strengthen our ears. Let us be connected one by one, heart to heart. Let us not forget while we're here. And bless those who have individual things that they cannot share tonight, but you know they're going through it. Let them know that they're not alone. Let this hope that was conferred be something they can use for tonight and tomorrow. And give us traveling grace. Let no bad news in the world we have felt. And we pray it all in Christ's name. Everyone say amen. All right. Thank you.